Hello, this is Amber from A Foxgloves Handiwork, and today I want to talk to you all about frames. I have always gravitated towards frames and have quite a collection of frames, partly because at estate sales they tend to be pretty inexpensive, and there's just like so many possibilities of like so many things you can do with frames. So in this video, I'm going to show you some of the things that I do with frames and hopefully give you some inspiration. I'd also love to hear down below in the comments, what are things that you enjoy using frames for that are not just a picture, right? So the first thing I wanted to share was when I go traveling, traveling, and whenever I visit art museums, can't really afford, obviously, large pieces of art, but I do enjoy buying postcards. And here is a Van Gogh painting, and it's just a postcard, right? So it's nothing crazy fancy. I got this frame at Goodwill, it's $3.99. And you can tell that it's old because it's solid wood, just the construction. So I felt, it's a little gold there, so I felt okay. Ooh. $4 is a little much for a frame, but it has glass, right? And so using frames for postcards. Another thing that I have put in frames are cards, because sometimes when people give you cards, they're really beautiful. And this one was actually, it's a postcard that my friend wrote a little note in. But again, this frame is gorgeous. It's a stained glass. I found this frame at a garage sale that was like everything was free. So that was really neat. And then this beautiful piece of artwork. Another card that my sister made for me. She has beautiful penmanship, and so this is a birthday card that she made for me. I just put it in the back of this frame. This did not have any glass, which I kind of like that it's matte, like it has the matte. But I think it was like literally just the frame. So you can see that I use push pins to attach wire so that it can hang on the wall. Simple, beautiful. I mean, started with a beautiful card, but, and I was lucky enough to have this beautiful handmade card, but I imagine, children's handmade cards, right? Those are so sweet. And sometimes birthday cards, it's sentimental. You want the message as a memory. So that's one way. Here's another frame. This is a drawing that a student made of me, which is really precious. So putting in a frame elevates it, and now it's special. I mean, it was always special, but now it's, I can display it in a way that I can appreciate it. Another thing I really like to use in my frames are found objects. So that's what I'm calling this segment. A friend of mine pressed a bunch of flowers that she had. And so we got together and had a little crafting date. But we just had so much fun arranging the pressed flowers. And I had my collection of frames. So just playing around. So this is this beautiful composition. Here is another one. And these definitely needed glass, right? So that the flowers are smushed up against two things. I didn't adhere these with anything. So it's the pressure of the backing up against the glass, keeping it in place. 2 more flowers. It was just so fun. And I had these frames. I got these at Goodwill. So again, just something really simple. In my fall decorating video, I showed you these sweet framed butterfly wings. And so I found these little frames. I think I got them at like Home Goods or something. They were not thrifted, but I just thought like super unique, clear, the black, and it has the latch. Oops, how can I get it? So there we go, you can see it. It has this latch, it lifts up and it opens up. I think I made this one first. I'd found this little wing just on the ground all by itself, and I was like, oh, that's really precious. I tend to collect things that I find are precious and find a use for them later. But this little frame, it's just enough of a shadow box that it didn't crush the wing. However, it's skinny enough that the wing stayed in place. So I got pretty lucky with this frame. Oh, but then I found this little butterfly wing. I think it was like the same season. Like this is the beginning of summer, this is like the end of summer. But they just make this really beautiful vignette. Now this frame I got at Goodwill. It was like probably one of the first frames I got at Goodwill when I started my thrifting, seriously. But it's glass, and I have taped in a piece of artwork that a friend of mine actually made. And it did originally have a back, and so it's a little precarious. The staples I've bent them to help keep the glass in place. So this was not originally designed like this frame where it's intentionally like to have a glass background. I used like the tiniest bit of clear tape here to adhere the painting or picture in. So that's how I was able to create this very groovy piece with this, like, I like this, like this old looking frame. And I think the picture inside was that it's like the two like little cupids, like one's looking up. I think everyone's seen that image. I don't know if it's a stock or like everyone likes, or final what to do with a frame that I want to show you is using fabric and embroidering. I created a wall hanging for my friend this last summer. I'll put in a picture. Yeah, I think I made a reel, but it was my first time experimenting with like textiles and embroidering. Okay. I'm not quite finished with it. And obviously it's not in the frame yet, but it is a JRL token. Oh, I need to put JRL token on there. That's something that's missing. It's a quote from JRL token that says, "Not all who wander are lost," and has mountainous scene. And so I've embroidered these pieces of fabric on, still kind of playing around with it, but I'm so happy with how this turned out. I do like that it doesn't have glass, but I think glass would be fine, or something you could take the glass out of. But I would like to do, I like the, mixed media of fabric, embroidering, tying in some other stuff in there possibly, but almost like creating a painting, but with fabric. So we'll see. But this is the first version. So my very first frame DIY project, one of my first DIY projects was making a earring holder using a frame and some wire mesh, and I added this little sequined thing, but I still use it today, and so it hangs all my fun and different earrings, and so it's kind of like its own decor piece. It's beautiful with all my earrings. But that was pretty cool. So the second segment of my video for you all today is I want to create some of these things that I have demonstrated or that I've done. So I found these grouse feathers when I was up north in northern Minnesota not too long ago, and I thought these would be really beautiful framed. So join me as I do this. So I'm thinking of alternating the feathers and then have this guy like, ooh, like this possibly, or one thing I really love about crafting is that you just kind of get to play around and see what works. So you saw me just arrange. So here's my collection of smaller frames. This is really quite tattered. We got one of the mill. This has like a back. So I'm looking for kind of the size. This is a nice one. Something to fit it. These, which are really cute, obviously just small. I found that a lot of estate sales, there are these gold framed ones, which I think are kind of cool. Ooh, is that too big? That could be really cool. Ooh, I got these frames, which are really cool, but again, too small. But if I found like a little dried, if I found like a butterfly or, anyway, okay, so these need bigger. The bigger frames. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. That could be cool. Might be too big. This one I found at Goodwill, and it, I found it like this, but it had the mat, and so you can still see whatever artwork was in there, called Different. It was the 64th, come on focus, of 500 by Greg Stones. So that could be really, it's cool that I had the mat already. Ooh. Some more frames. Oh, here is another postcard that I just put in a frame. This is, pretty cheap frame, but like, it just elevates it. It really, instead of this postcard, now it's in a frame and I can hang it. It's beautiful. Okay. These have little flowers. Here are some of the frames. I think I've gotten it like at estate sales that are like $1. It's like, how do I pass that up? This one's, oh yeah, this one's cool, but it's also very rickety. Those are too big. So I'm gonna try these. I just put them horizontal, which is kind of a cool look. So there's that one. This one. Ooh, that's really pretty. I like how raw this is. And I'm thinking this would, obviously we need a back. Now that we have our foam core, make sure that it fits. Not quite because of the staple things. So I'm going to adjust. So I actually just decided to take out those gnarly little paper clips, nope, staples, and almost Fits like a glove. This is too white. We need some more muted. So I'm gonna put some paper, do some experimenting. So I have some tracing paper. It's still pretty white. It gives some texture. Oh no, this doesn't have glass. I just realized that this frame does not have glass. And this type of, like the found object, I would need glass to help keep it together. So I think we're gonna pause because I don't have glass. I don't have a way to cut. Well, I'm not ready for that DIY yet. But for today, I think kind of showed you the process, kind of how I brainstorm, how I play around with it. Hello. So it has been probably over a week. Daylight savings has happened. So it is now dark or darker when I get home. So I am experimenting with artificial light. I do not have a ring light. So I'm hoping that the lighting, we're gonna fine tune it. But since I last filmed, I had an idea for my grouse feather conundrum. An idea of how to adhere or attach these feathers to the board without needing a glass frame. We'll put some fabric and then do a couple little decorative, aesthetically pleasing stitches to sewing it, essentially stitching it on, and I think that could look really tasteful too. So that is how I'm going to complete this project. I hope it goes well. Let's find out. The first step that I'm going to do is cover the foam board with fabric. So I'm going to stitch the feathers onto the fabric before I figure out a way to attach the fabric to the board. So picking the color, I want it to be tasteful, but also not too vibrant. Subtle, maybe that's the word. That could be good. So this is a contender. No, that's way too orange. This stuff is really cool. I got it at an estate sale. It's kind of more like twine. Ooh, I think that's it. That's totally it. Does not like to stay in place, but that's okay. There we go. This is turning out really well. So here's the beginning. And I'll do another little stitch to keep this down, and then I'll add my little feather.
So I'm going to use a staple to kind of staple the fabric to the foam board. Popping it in here, there we go. I'd cut the foam cord pretty exact, and so with that added fabric, makes it a little trickier, but it's so beautiful. Okay, so that's a little, using striped fabric makes, it's not ideal, but there it is. Let's see, let's get some nice lighting. We're figuring out the lighting. We're gonna do a different angle.
Thank you so much for joining me on my crafting. I had fun with this video, kind of showing my frame collection, but also I'm hoping that you are feeling inspired, or you saw something that you want to try with your framed collection. If there's something that you enjoy doing with frames that I didn't include, please feel free to add those down in the comments below. On my channel here at A Foxglove's Handiwork, I'm all about using my hands to create things, putting in that hard work and seeing kind of the fruits of my labor, but also the idea of reusing what we have and mending. So much gets just thrown out, and I'm curious about how do I mend things? How do I reuse things? How do I build things? So if you are into crafting, reusing, repurposing, you have found the right place. Again, my name is Amber from Foxglove's Handiwork. If you enjoyed this video, consider giving it a thumbs up. Feel free to subscribe if you want to check out more. And thank you. Until next time.